I would say what makes our farm unique is the cabbage. There's probably 6 growers that grow cabbage in the area, and not a whole lot of people know much about the cabbage. I'll be honest, before I started dating my wife and I came to this farm, I had no idea that cabbage was even grown in Wisconsin. So I didn't know a whole lot about it, but all of the cabbage that we grow gets sold to GLK Foods and it gets turned into sauerkraut. The history of the farm started with my wife's great-grandpa Clark. He started the farm with 80 acres. He passed away when her grandpa Tom was 11 years old, so when he was really young. So he kind of filled in the shoes of running the farm and taking care of the farm, and he kept the farm going while working at Kimberly-Clark when he got older, and then he started selling fertilizer, which eventually went into Terra Fertilizer. And then his son Larry came onto the farm, and then in 2010 I started on the farm full-time. The farm is currently, we farm about probably 2,800 acres between corn, soybean, and cabbage is what we grow. We start planting, we're kind of lower ground, so we're kind of later than everybody. We like to start by May 1st, but our cabbage is kind of unique in a way that we have land out west of here in Almond, kind of by Plainfield. So we start planting that first because that warms up quicker, the soil warms up quicker, and we can get on that land quicker. So we plant that first, and then we come home, we plant our corn and soybeans. Hopefully we try to be done by middle to end of May with that, and then the rest of our cabbage is at home with transplants. So we start that right around Memorial Day because that's when we can kind of get the high school kids to help plant with that, because that's all hand planted. Cabbage is pretty intense, labor intense. Like I said, at home we're plant by hand, they're all transplants, and then we try to cultivate at least 3 to 4 times a year, just because there's not much herbicide that you can use on cabbage because it's a pretty delicate plant. One of them passes through the cabbage is our nitrogen application as well. Some conservation methods we use are almost all of our tractors have GPS, so we're using section control with our planting, so we're not overlapping plants, we're not overlapping fertilizer. We variable rate fertilizer and seed, so we're only using what we need, we're not over applying. So there's no excess or runoff or anything like that as far as our fertilizer. Our cabbage harvester, it goes on the 3-point of a tractor. It harvests 2 rows at a time. It's got 2 rolls that kind of pick the cabbage head up, and then it's got a big disc on it that cuts the root off of it, and then it's got paddles that push it back onto augers that take it up alongside the tractor on the left side of the tractor, and then we call it a husking bed. It goes across the back of the tractor. It's a bunch of augers. So that's what takes off all the excess green leaves, because for the sauerkraut they don't want any green leaves, they want it all white, just for appearance wise. And then it goes up an elevator into a dump cart, so then we're running 4 dump carts, and then them 4 dump carts will fill our semis, and then our semis are hauling it to the factory. We always have started cabbage around Labor Day, but again, being out west now, we start a little bit earlier, so it all depends on when the crop is ready. Year to year, it's always different. There's years where we've started middle of August harvesting cabbage just because that year had perfect conditions, it grew, and it was ready, because you don't want the head to bust. That's the biggest thing you want, your good solid head. So harvest for us starts anywhere from mid-August, and then we will be doing cabbage until probably middle to end of November. So in that time too, we're also trying to take off our soybeans. And then for us, we don't start any of our corn until we're done with cabbage, because cabbage takes up so much equipment, time, and people. So as soon as we're done with the cabbage, then we'll transition everything over into corn, and then get our corn off. And we're hoping to be done by end of November with everything. My favorite part of being a farmer is every day is different. Putting the seed in the soil, you're doing everything you can possibly do. Say a prayer to the good Lord that everything is going to be good that year. You'll have a crop at the end of the year, and then just taking care of that crop and watching it grow and seeing your hard work pay off at the end of the year. That Like I said, you do everything you can from planting, side dressing, taking care of that crop and watching that crop grow is probably my favorite part of farming. Advice I would have for a future farmer is never quit learning. I have friends that are like, what do you do all winter long? And I kind of laugh and I'm like, we're steady going to seminars, clinics. Yeah, our maintenance and repairs are done in the winter too, but that is our time. There's always new technology, always new traits, seed traits, fertilizers, micronutrients, which are coming huge into getting bumping yields and all that stuff. So you will never be done learning. Just always, always have an open mind to keep learning.